Okay guys, welcome to module 1.3, wrapping your hands. The importance of wrapping your hands and the best ways to wrap your hands to prevent from a hand injury. Okay, now, who am I? Tony TNT Grano, previously ranked 5th in the world, professional heavyweight. I'm going to show you the best ways to wrap and protect your hands to prevent from a hand injury. Now, generally I like to use the elastic stretch hand wraps, all right? They're like the bandage gauze hand wraps, all right? Because they have a little bit of stretch and elasticity in them because it just grips your hand better. It's a better fit, right? So, so let's unwrap the hand wraps. Usually just throw them out like that, and I slide it back. Now, most hand wraps will say this side down, and if they don't, they'll have like a little tag so you know which side is down. And you put your thumb through the loop, right? And you want to make sure, before you wrap your hands actually, you want to make sure that your hands are nice and warmed up, right? You don't want to jam your finger, you want to stretch them out, crack your knuckles, get your hands loose, right? Your fingers, before you wrap them and you have them all bandaged up, right? Now, it's very important to wrap your hands because, believe it or not, this isn't from hitting anything. And I should have been wearing gloves, but I scraped up my hands, my knuckles, my fingers, which is really a problem when I'm doing this sport. Any contact sports where you're going to be using your hands, right? You want to make sure that you don't have any cuts and bruises and sores. So you need to protect them, especially if these are this is your sport or your livelihood, and they're your money makers. And let me tell you, most jobs require you to use your hands. So you want to protect them at all times. Whether you're doing the sport or, like me, doing some yard work where I ended up scraping up my hands, should have been wearing gloves. Okay, so the importance of wearing hand wraps is very important. I'm going to wrap my left hand first. Now, you want to wrap away from yourself because it keeps the wrap from unraveling a little better, right? So you wrap away, and you want to go around. There's two different ways I'm going to show you with the hand wraps. I'm going to wrap away from myself, and I'm going to wrap this way here is also the way I wrap my hands when I use the gauze for a fight. I'm one of the exceptions when it comes to wrapping my hands before a competition and a fight. Not many fighters wrap their own hands. I'm one of them, okay? Why? Because I know what I like and I know the comfort of how tight I like my wraps, and I've always done it. So I wrap my own hands, and it kind of your cut man or your trainer, they might not agree with it. Mine definitely haven't in the past, but that's just the way I do it. So let's go through the way that I wrap with the hand wrap. Where you're going to wrap away from yourself 3 times. You're going to wrap around your wrist. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to go over to, you're going to cross over to your knuckles. And you're going to have the knuckles in the center of the wrap. You're going to wrap 3 times around your knuckles. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to cross back to the wrist. You're going to go once around your wrist. And now you're going to go to your thumb. You're going to go around your thumb once and back to your knuckles. You're going to go around your knuckles once, back to your wrist, cross back. So you're going crisscrossing, right? Making an X. You're going to go once around your wrist, back to your thumb, once around your thumb, back to your wrist. And you're going to finish it out around your wrist, like so. Nice, tight wrap. Now you want to be careful because, like I said, there's an elasticity to these wraps. So you got to make sure your fingers are spread when you're wrapping around your knuckles, and that it doesn't tighten up too much on you, because they tend to get a little tighter after you wrap them because of the elasticity, and you don't want to cut off the circulation. So make sure you have the blood flowing to your fingers, otherwise your hand's going to fall asleep, and that's not good. So I'm going to wrap the right hand real quick, same way. I'll wait for myself 3 times. Once, 2, 3 times around the wrist, cross in the NX direction to your knuckles 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Cross back to your wrist. There's the X right there now. You're going to go once around your wrist, over to your thumb, around your thumb, back to your knuckles. Like I said, keep your fingers spread. You don't want them to fall asleep or cut off the circulation. So once around your knuckles, back to your wrist, around once, over to your thumb, and then finish it out on your wrist. All right? And that is the way to wrap your hands. See, there's not really any skin showing through. That's how you want to wrap them. I have a little more padding in the knuckle area because these are the longer wraps with elasticity to them. Now, me personally, I tape my hands when I wrap like this. Okay? I tape through. So I have some tape already torn up. I'm going to really quickly, I'm going to tape one hand just to demonstrate for you. I'm going to go around my wrist to secure it. And I generally, this is how I wrap when I do the gauze too. So I wrap once around here. I go there. I tear the tape in half so it's a little thinner. I pinch it so it doesn't stick to the inside of my finger, and then I fold it over like that to bunch up the hand wrap here so I have something to grab onto. So grab another piece. The reason why I put the one around with the tape on the wrist is so the tape that's going through my fingers sticks better. And then I go like that. I bunch that up like that. And one more quickly, like this. See how it comes undone sometimes? Make sure it sticks. And then pinch it. Like that. Now, my tape, I go like this right here. Start, palm side down, like that, and I cross it over like that to the wrist. Once around, tear it. Then I go to the pointer finger. Once around, tear it. And then I go right here. Now you don't want right over the front of your knuckles. You want it right on the back end of your knuckles. Right like that. Now, I don't have much tape to give you a better demonstration. Could tape up a lot more if I want, but like I said, you don't want to go too tight, cut off the circulation. But this is generally how I would tape my hand wrap after I put it on. All right? So it holds the wrap tightly around my knuckles. That's why I tape between my fingers. Okay? Now, that's that. Now I'm going to show you the other way that I like to wrap my hands with the gauze. This is usually the way I do wrap when I have tape, and I'm going to say do some sparring. If I'm not going to, sometimes I'll use the gauze and I'll really tape up. before I do my sparring sessions, but sometimes I'll use the hand wraps and I'll just tape it between my fingers and secure it like this. Okay guys, so that was these black hand wraps. I'm gonna wrap with these yellow ones. They're a tiny bit longer, not too much longer, but like I said, if you have a bigger hand or you have a pair of the shorter wraps, you might not be able to wrap this particular way because it uses more of the wrap. You need more wrap to do it. So you're gonna go same thing 3 times around your wrist. Right? Once, twice, 3 times. Then you're going to go to your knuckles. Once, twice, 3 times. So same thing kind of. Now this time you're going to cross back to your thumb, back to your wrist. Actually you're going to go around your wrist, and you're gonna go around your wrist once, and then you're gonna go to your pinky like that. Instead of back to your knuckles, you're gonna go through the pinky, then you're gonna go around the thumb, through the 2 middle fingers, then you're gonna go through the pointer and the middle finger between those 2, back around your thumb, back to your knuckles, around your knuckles, once or twice. Alright, so I'm going to run out of hand wraps, so I'm going to go only around once, because my hands are bigger, right? So, around once, see that? Then back to the wrist, and around the thumb, back to the knuckles, back to the wrist, back to the wrist, around the thumb, to the wrist, around once, around the thumb, and then back to the wrist. Like that, okay? And see it's between the fingers. So I can do this one really quick. Show you one more time. So you're gonna go 3 times away, 3 times around your wrist, once, twice, 3 times, back to your knuckles, 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, back to your wrist, around once, and then to between your pinky and your ring finger, around your thumb, between the 2 middle ones, around your thumb, between the pointer and the middle, around that, the thumb, back to the knuckles, once around, back to the wrist, and around the thumb, and then finish it out on the wrist. And that's how you wrap your hands with the longer wraps between the fingers. Okay? Those are the 2 ways to wrap your hands with gauze. The first way is the way I normally do it, and this way is the way everyone else does it. Alright guys, so that's how you wrap your hands and protect them from a hand injury. Now, I told you guys I was going to show you 3 different ways. 2 with the hand wraps, which we've already gone over, and 1 with the gauze. Now, gauze you generally use before a competition is usually, or a sparring session, I should say. You can use it anytime if in training if you want to go through the time it takes to wrap your hands with the gauze. So let's get started. This is what I do before my competitions. I wrap my own hands. Like I said, most people don't. I'm one of the exceptions. Okay guys, so with the gauze, you're going to tear a little hole right here at the end. If I can get my thumb through there. Like that, so you can put your thumb through to start. That's how I do it. So you're going to wrap away from yourself. The same thing as we did with the wraps. Now I'm going to go around my wrist a lot more times because the gauze is a lot thinner than your wrap, the material of the wrap, and you have a lot more of it. So you can go around your wrist and really secure your wrist, your hand, your wrist, your fingers. You really want it to be almost like a cast, right? It wants to be solid. You want to keep that wrist straight and solid because, and again, you want to loosen up your fingers, crack your knuckles, shake them out, make sure you have good blood circulation going through them, and you want to make sure your wrist is straight and solid, connected to your hand, because you don't want to sprain your wrist or anything like that, right? So let's continue wrapping around the wrist, the gauze, away from yourself. I'm going to wrap just one hand today. I think that's all I need to do for a demonstration to show you how to do it. All right, so we're going to go, really, you have to judge it, feel it out, see how much gauze you have, and there's always more gauze. Now, I generally go through, now when you wrap your hands before a competition, and your trainer should know this, I'm sure he does, the commission only allows you to use so much of the gauze and so much tape. So there's a regulation to how much you use and where you're allowed to tape. You're not allowed to tape, like I said, on the front of your knuckles or anything like that. So we're gonna continue wrapping around your wrist. And again, depending on how thick your wrist is and how big your hands are will determine how many times you can even go around with the amount of gauze that you're allowed. So now I'm going to cross back to the knuckles. The knuckles in the center of the wrap, they're the gauze. Wrap. Now, go a few times around your knuckles. Now you can start crossing back and forth in that X formation, back and forth to tie it all together and make it solid, right? Now remember, you want to go around your thumb too. And you're going to figure this out and figure out what's most comfortable for yourself, what you like. So, and I'm very picky, so I tend to wrap, unwrap until it's comfortable, because you want to make sure you're not going to end up with a hand injury. In 18 years of fighting and boxing, thank God, knock on wood, I've never suffered a hand injury. Now, like I said, I usually go through 3 rolls of gauze. So generally that's what you're allowed, I believe, in competition through the commissions. And every commission could be different with their regulations. I'm not 100% positive on that, so don't quote me. Now I take, so 1 roll is to make pads. So this is 1 roll of gauze that I open my hand like this and I just wrap around and around and around, about a half roll of gauze, tear it, and that's my pad. So now I've gone about halfway through this roll around my wrist and my hand, my knuckles, my hand. So now I went around my thumb that last time. I've gone 2 or 3 times around my thumb. Go right back to the knuckles. Now I'm going to place this pad like that. You see? Right there. And this is what I do before competition, believe it or not, guys. This is why I'm sure my trainers and my cut men, they get frustrated with me. They want to do it, but this is just a process that I choose to go through. So I wrap a couple times around that pad like that. Make sure it's even, it's covered all your knuckles. And then now, like that, I fold it. So I have a nice thick pad, protecting my knuckles. All right, guys, you want to make sure those knuckles are protected, especially if you hit as hard as I do. You don't want to go bruising your knuckle and busting up your hand. Like I said, these are your money makers. So like that. And trust me, I can wrap my own hands better than anyone else. Sounds like someone's car's getting broken into. Oh. All right. Now that is nice and that feels good. Nice and comfortable. All right, like that. Now I'm going to go back to the wrist and finish out wrapping around the wrist. Now you guys can, I'm going to go around the thumb another time. Tie it back. This, back and forth, like that. Look at that. That is nice. That's a nice wrap. I'm going to go around the wrist. Twist around the wrist. Another reason why I'm not going to be able to wrap the other hand is running low on tape. Sorry, demonstration reasons I'm not going to be able to wrap this hand, but you can watch. It's the same thing, just reversed on this hand. So you can watch this film over and over until you get it down and you feel comfortable if you're wrapping your own hands. And the only time I can see that you would have to wrap your own hands is maybe before a sparring session if you're not with your trainer. But I recommend you being with your trainer if you're sparring, right? Maybe you just feel more comfortable doing it yourself. So this is how you do it. This is how I do it, at least. I'm sure there's other ways. This is how I do it, and I've never injured my hand. So you might want to follow my instructions. Now, the tape, torn in half. I went around my wrist with once or twice with the tape there. I'm gonna go from the wrist through the fingers. And I'm gonna bunch up the gauze on my palm, like I did with the wrap. And I go right like this, right around it. Tuck it under, make a nice bunched up pad there that I can grip onto. Okay, so that's through those two fingers. Now I'm going to grab another piece and go through the two middle fingers. Remember, if you want to pinch it, it doesn't get all sticky in between your fingers. All right? You want to be comfortable. You want to protect your hands. So, bunch up the gauze on the palm side. Fold the tape under, like that. And then one more between the pinky and the ring finger. Pinch it, tuck it under. Right like that. Look at that, guys. See that? Those knuckles right there. Now, again, tape right there. Wrist. That. Cross it, the wrist. Tying this all together now, you see? See that? Now I'm going to go here in the palm, around top side of the knuckles, not the front side. Now that they don't allow that. Commissions do not allow that. You cannot have any tape on the front of your knuckles for whatever reason. So I'm going to go around there. Now I can go around and around and around as many times as I want with the tape. Like I said, you only allow so much tape, but to allow you to go like this and continue to tape down. So I can, and a lot of trainers, or myself included, will tear off pieces like this, strips of tape like this, and we'll go to the edge of where the gauze is, we'll pull it, we'll Just continue to tape, pull, and tape. You know, this should be a little longer. Pull it, tape it like this. Pull, tape, pull, and tape, and then tape around your thumb and finish it out around your wrist with whatever the allowance is. Like I said, every commission is a little bit different, but you want it to be solid, right? Solid and like a cast. That is a good wrap, and that's how you wrap to protect your hands. TNT Granite Boxing, thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it.